It's Tuesday, and that means I can invite you to come along with me on this video of Tuesdays with Ted. My name is Floyd Punitz, president of Seventh-day Adventist Kinship International, the only LGBTQ affirming organization and group in the church of current and former Seventh-day Adventist. And each Tuesday I take a little time to send the video to the president of the General Conference of Seventh-day Adventist, Ted N.C. Wilson. And so I invite you to come along on this journey with me. I cover a variety of topics, and today I want to talk about growing up Adventist and realizing that you're gay. So grab your favorite beverage. I have my mug here, my kinship mug, and so grab your beverage. Put me on pause for a minute. Grab a beverage in here, and let's talk and see what we can come up with today. You know, Ted, when I hear you talking, a lot of times you talk about someone who chooses to be gay or leaves the church, goes away from the church because they're gay, or willfully turns their back on God and wants to disrespect God, etc., etc. You know, that's not really the case for most queer Seventh-day Adventists. A lot of us grew up loving God, loving our Adventist church, loving the beliefs, the faith that we had. And all along, for many of us, at a young age, we realized that there was something different, and we didn't know what name to put on it because no one in the church ever spoke about being gay. And so, or when they did, it was in a very negative context. And so, you know, we never considered that our feelings, our attractions to the same gender, were actually what you guys were, or what pastors were calling gay. Call it naive, but that's kind of the way it was. You know, I came from a very loving home. I had a mother and a father that loved each other dearly. They worked together. My mother was present. My father was present. There wasn't a smothering mother or a distant father or whatever that some groups like Coming Out Ministries try to convince that people have a dysfunctional family. I came from a very functional family. When I look around at some of my friends and other people, I realize how lucky I was to grow up in a good Christian home that loved people and espoused great values. You know, we grew up saying prayer for each meal. We had morning worship before I went off to school. We had night worship before we went to bed, worship and prayers. And, you know, anytime we kind of left in the car on any type of a long trip, go to camp meeting, go to Keene for camp meeting or whatever, we would always gather around outside the car and pray for travel mercies and for God to be with us. Because in those days, the cars a lot of times broke down on the highway. You'd get a flat tire or overheated or whatever, even though Dad checked the oil and the water and the tires and all that beforehand. Cars were just not quite as reliable as they are today. They were more easy to fix. They were easier to fix and repair, but the cars themselves seemed to break down. So I can remember on the way to camp meeting many times, you know, we had prayed ahead of time, but the car broke down on the way to Keene, and we'd have to fix it or whatever and do that kind of thing. And we were always careful on Sabbath not to buy gas on Sabbath, so you'd fill up to every little drop you could so that you didn't have to fill up during Sabbath, and you could wait till Saturday night or after sundown on Sabbath to fill up with gas. So hopefully things like that bring back some memories for some of you. Also, one of the books, you know, I like to talk about books, and I don't know, hopefully some of you will recognize this book here. It was a staple in our house on Saturday, Sabbath evening when the sun was going down. This is where we did our worship out of. Most of the other time we had the German quarterly, Sabbath school quarterly that we read and looked up the Bible text and read from the German Sabbath school quarterly. but on Saturday nights, sundown, we would use this as the Bible, um, as the Bible reading. And I remember when I got older and I could actually read English, I was able to, or I was allowed to read some of the stories from this book or whatever. But when you open the front cover, this picture here brings back lots of fond memories of a kid, Jesus, telling stories to the children there, and yeah, I really it brings back good memories. But I also remember, the illustrated pictures of there were some colored ones in here, colored pictures. This one is of Adam and Eve, and if you notice, all the drawings in here are very Western American, European, North European, uh, white um, depictions of people. So, even though this is a book, and I just want to make sure, yes, made by Southern Publishing Association, Nashville, Tennessee. So it was an Adventist book, as far as I know, 203 Bible stories from Genesis to Revelation, and paintings by Clyde Provencio and Robert Temple Ayers. I don't know these people. Maybe some of you do, but they created very very pretty but very white drawings of the children there playing with the animals in the beginning. Like I said, then Adam and Eve, and here they're being thrown out of the garden. Again, Adam was very blonde, Eve had black hair, and the two boys, well, were, yeah, they were brunette and darker hair. And there's a lot of pictures like that. But I remember as a kid, uh, I was looking at the pictures of the boys. I found them to be very homoerotic pictures, shirtless pictures of that time, and I remember that I was attracted. And this wasn't porn; these are Bible stories. Just being very honest here, when kids look at these kinds of pictures, they see things differently than maybe the adults do, maybe differently than you do, Ted. But I found those pictures to be very enticing, and they, yeah, in I can't say that they made me gay because nothing makes you gay. You're born gay. But I did identify with the kids in those pictures because I was a little blonde kid as well. And so, anyway, I thought they were very, very homoerotic pictures for an Adventist setting kind of thing. The other thing at home that really, this person here on this cover was an important part growing up. I remember Sunday mornings listening to the radio, the voice of prophecy, and the trumpets came on, and lift up the trumpet, loud, let it ring. Um, and this isn't the book that I was necessarily looking for, but there was HMS Richards. And, HMS Richards, just like you, Ted, and many, 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 many other Adventist pastors out there, have queer family, queer relatives. And the thing that I appreciate about HMS Richards was he had two queer grandchildren. Um, the one son died a few years ago, and the other daughter, Laura Kaysen. If you look back on the Kinship Connects podcast, you can see me having an interview with Laura Kaysen on that. And he loved his grandchildren. He did not deny them or tell them that they were sinners or needed to change or anything like that. And so, as far as I'm concerned, this was a role model, a real man of God that didn't hide or try to deny that he had queer children, and he loved them and God loved them equally. So growing up, yeah, I wanted to be a pastor. I wanted to be, I thought that Jesus was coming the day after tomorrow, whenever that was. and I wanted to tell the world to be ready, to get ready for Jesus. Now, many years later, many decades later, the church is still teaching Jesus is coming tomorrow, and I'm not going to dispute that in this video, but I know that led me to a lot of consternation, a lot of confusion, a lot of making bad choices, bad mistakes in my life, because I felt that Jesus was coming soon. And so I changed my path in college and did not become a pastor. Instead, after a little bit of other things going on in life, I became, you could say, an evangelist for SDA Kinship. And there are a lot of hurting LGBTQ people out there. Like I said, I get lots of messages every day from someone saying, I grew up Adventist and the church doesn't love me, my community doesn't want me, I have nowhere to go. Should I end my life? The message that I get from Coming Out Ministries is you have to either be celibate or marry someone of the opposite gender, and I'm just not attracted to that opposite gender person, and I just don't know what to do. Should I end my life or what? And so those are heart-wrenching notes that I get. If HMS Richards were still alive, senior, he would, I know he would be preaching on that today, with love and compassion, true love and compassion. The video that you did, and with Mark Finley, even though you said you couched it in love, we love you, but, and that big but is one that Jesus doesn't put in any of his sermons. Jesus loves us just as we are. Come as you are. So, the sermons that you're giving just are not connecting with people, because people can see through the lies, the myths that you try to perpetuate about homosexuality, about queer people, about trans Adventists. I really wish you would honestly, genuinely sit down with a lot of people from Kinship who would love to talk with you, share their stories, and let you know how much they love Jesus, they love God, they love their Adventist church, but they can't stand the church anymore because of the harm that it has put them through, and the harm that it does to them. So that's my message for you today in this video, this Tuesdays with Ted. Please reconsider and talk with some people and stop hurting us, stop harming us. If you really love us, you will sit down, listen, and talk with us, hear our stories, and hopefully look at those statements that you issue so freely and those websites you create on human sexuality that are not practical and don't really have an application for us. Stop using the parroting buzzwords, God's will, and et cetera, and just listen to us, and it'd make a big difference. So again, have a good week, and look back on those former days, those days of innocent childhood when you read these books and heard these stories. Let the stories strengthen you, but don't let the church hurt you anymore. Remember that God loves you unconditionally, just exactly as you are, and Kinship is there to provide a safe place. If you have questions, you want to contact me, info@sdakinship.org, and I promise I will respond to every email that I get. And wish you a great week coming up. April is just around the corner, and we'll talk to you next Tuesday. And be sure and have your drink, your mug available, and let's sit and talk a bit, and let's see how we can save lives and make this world a better place. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Is there anybody